A frantic 911 call. A television set thrown into chaos. A life flight helicopter tearing through the Georgia sky. And a secret so massive, so well kept, that it has sent a shockwave through the entire entertainment industry. For years, we've watched Alana Thompson, the world's most famous child beauty queen, Honey Boo Boo, grow up before our very eyes. We've seen the pageants, the family drama, the heartbreak, and the triumphs. But everything we thought we knew is about to be turned completely upside down. Just days ago, while filming her highly anticipated new reality series, a project that was supposed to mark her triumphant return to the spotlight as an adult, Alana Thompson collapsed in excruciating pain. What happened next is a story that sounds like it was ripped from a Hollywood script. An emergency C-section. A panicked boyfriend. A family left completely in the dark. And the discovery that Alana Thompson was not only pregnant, she was giving birth to twins. Stay tuned and watch the entire video patiently, because in today's video I Am Erwin will discuss the real story. Hey everyone, welcome back to Boo Boo Update. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest updates on Mama June family. Today, we've got something exciting to talk about, Honey Boo Boo family. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. So grab a seat, and let's dive right in. Today, we are unpacking the story that has everyone talking. The story of Alana Thompson and Drawlin Carswell. It's a story filled with mystery, medical marvels, and a level of secrecy that seems almost impossible in today's social media age. How did Alana hide a twin pregnancy from the world, and possibly even from herself? What really happened on that film set? And what does this mean for the future of one of reality TV's most famous families? We've pieced together reports, spoken to insiders, and analyzed every shred of evidence available. So grab your sweet tea, because we are breaking down every single detail. This is the story of Honey Boo Boo's secret babies. To truly understand the gravity of what just happened, we first need to understand where Alana was in her life. The Alana Thompson of 2025 was a world away from the go-go juice-drinking, pageant-stomping child we met over a decade ago. At 20 years old, she had successfully shed the Honey Boo Boo persona that had defined her childhood. She was a young woman carving out her own path, determined to be seen as more than just a meme or a throwback reality star. She had moved to Colorado to pursue her studies in nursing, a noble and surprising path for someone who grew up in the glare of camera flashes. It was a clear signal to the world. I am serious. I am building a future. Her relationship with Drawlin Carswell, her boyfriend of several years, was a central part of this new, more private life. While their relationship had its share of public scrutiny and bumps in the road, especially concerning Drawlin's past legal issues, they presented a united front. To their followers, they were just a normal young couple, navigating life and love. And that brings us to the summer of 2025. The big project. Sources close to the production have confirmed that Alana and Drawlin had signed a lucrative deal with WeTV for their own spin-off series. The show, tentatively titled Alana and Drawlin: The Next Chapter, was meant to document their lives as a young couple, Alana's continuing education, and their plans for the future. It was her moment to reintroduce herself to the world, on her own terms. Filming had been underway for several weeks, primarily in their home state of Georgia, to capture interactions with her famous family. By all accounts, the shoot was going smoothly. The network was thrilled with the footage. Alana was reportedly more professional and engaged than ever. She was nailing her interviews. She was open and honest, and she was genuinely excited about the project. It's this sense of normalcy that makes what happened next so utterly jarring. The crew, the producers, even her own family who were involved in the shoot, were operating under the assumption that this was a straightforward reality show about a young woman's journey into adulthood. They were filming scenes about choosing classes, budgeting as a couple, and planning a future career. There was, according to multiple sources, no indication of a pregnancy. Alana's wardrobe for the show consisted of her usual style, comfortable, often baggy t-shirts and sweatpants, which in hindsight could have easily concealed a growing baby bump. but no one thought twice about it. Why would they? There had been no announcement, no rumors, no whispers. In the weeks leading up to the incident, she had posted on social media as usual. Selfies, sponsored posts for fashion brands, TikTok dances with Drolin. It was business as usual. This is a crucial piece of the puzzle. The absolute and total secrecy. In an age where a celebrity can't eat a salad without it being analyzed for a potential pregnancy clue, Alana Thompson was allegedly carrying twins, well into her third trimester, and the world had no idea. Was this a deliberate, calculated plan to reveal the pregnancy as a bombshell finale for the show? Or was something else going on entirely? The narrative that the producers had was one of a young couple building their future. But the reality hidden just beneath the surface was far more complex and was about to explode into the public consciousness in the most dramatic way imaginable. The stage was set. The cameras were rolling. And the quiet was about to be shattered. The day it all happened was, by all accounts, a completely ordinary day of filming. The location was a scenic park just outside McIntyre, Georgia. The purpose of the scene was simple and lighthearted. Producers wanted to capture Alana and Drolin having a picnic, discussing their future goals and dreams. It was meant to be a soft, romantic segment for the show, the kind of footage that shows their bond as a couple. Let's break down the timeline of events, based on a compilation of eyewitness reports and insider leaks. At approximately 2:15 p.m., Alana and Drolin arrive on set. They are laughing and joking with the crew. Alana is wearing a loose-fitting, oversized vintage-style band t-shirt and a pair of comfortable leggings. Again, nothing that would raise any suspicion. The crew does makeup and sound checks. Everything is standard procedure. At 2:45 p.m., filming begins. The director asks them to ad-lib a conversation about what they hope to achieve in the next 5 years. Drolin talks about wanting to start a business. Alana talks about her passion for neonatal nursing, an ironic and poignant detail in retrospect. She mentions wanting to help babies. For the first 20 minutes, the scene goes perfectly. They are natural. Their chemistry is evident. The producers are happy, believing they are capturing television gold. And then, at 3:07 p.m., the first sign of trouble. According to a cameraman on set, Alana suddenly paused mid-sentence. She put a hand on her lower stomach. Drolin, noticing her expression change, asked if she was okay. She reportedly brushed it off, saying she just had a bad cramp. This is the first critical moment. In the world of reality TV, a minor discomfort is usually not a cause for alarm. The crew likely assumed it was a simple stomach ache, perhaps from something she ate. They offered her water and suggested a short break, but Alana insisted she was fine and wanted to continue the scene. 5 minutes later, it happened again. But this time it was far more severe. An eyewitness described Alana as wincing, her face turning pale. She doubled over slightly, letting out a small gasp. This time, Drolin was visibly concerned. He stood up and asked the director to cut the cameras. The audio recordings from that moment reportedly captured Drolin's panicked voice saying, "No, for real, we need to stop. Something's wrong." The crew immediately stopped filming. A producer and a set medic, a standard presence on any professional film set, rushed over to Alana. She was now breathing heavily, still clutching her stomach. She described the pain as a stabbing, intense pressure. The set medic, trained for common onset injuries like sprains or dehydration, was initially perplexed. Alana had no fever. Her blood pressure was slightly elevated, but that could be attributed to the pain and stress. The initial thought was perhaps severe food poisoning or, more seriously, appendicitis. The word pregnancy was not on anyone's radar. At 3:19 p.m., the situation escalated dramatically. Alana cried out in pain and lay down on the picnic blanket, curling into a fetal position. The pain was now coming in waves, each one more intense than the last. Panic began to set in among the crew. Drolin was by her side, holding her hand, his face a mask of terror. He had no idea what was happening. It was at this point the on-set medic made a critical decision. The park was in a relatively rural area, and the nearest well-equipped hospital was a significant drive away. Given the severity and unknown nature of the pain, ground transport might take too long. He made the call. A 911 call was placed. We have obtained a partial, dramatized transcript of that call from an emergency services source. A reenacted 911 call plays. Sound effects of wind and panicked voices in the background. 911, what is your emergency? Yes, I need an ambulance and I'm requesting air support. I'm on a film set at McIntyre Park. We have a 20-year-old female, acute abdominal distress, severe pain, vital signs are unstable. Okay, sir, what's her name? Is she conscious? Her name is Alana Thompson. She is conscious, but in extreme pain. We can't rule out internal bleeding. Ground transport will be too slow from our location. We need a life flight now. The mention of her name, Alana Thompson, immediately elevated the call's priority. The emergency services knew they were dealing with a high-profile individual. Within minutes, a helicopter was dispatched from the nearest trauma center. Those 20 minutes on the ground were described by one crew member as the most tense and terrifying of their entire career. The crew formed a human wall to shield Alana from any potential onlookers or paparazzi who might have heard the commotion. Drolin refused to leave her side, whispering to her, trying to keep her calm. The sound of the helicopter blades chopping through the air was a sound of relief. The flight paramedics landed in a nearby clearing, and the team sprang into action. They quickly assessed Alana, loaded her onto a stretcher, and prepared her for transport. The producers had to make a split-second decision: what to do about the show. One producer and a single cameraman were given permission to accompany Drolin and Alana to the hospital, with the understanding that they would film only what was appropriate and necessary. The show, in that moment of crisis, was still a consideration. As the helicopter lifted off, leaving the rest of the shocked crew behind on the now-abandoned picnic set, no one could have possibly predicted what the doctors were about to find. They thought they were flying a patient with a potential ruptured appendix to the hospital. They had no idea they were flying in a mother-to-be who was in active, premature labor with twins. The mystery was only just beginning. The flight to the hospital was a blur of anxiety and fear. Drolin, white-knuckled, sat beside Alana as paramedics worked on her, trying to manage her pain and stabilize her vitals. Upon landing on the hospital's rooftop helipad, a trauma team was already waiting. Alana was rushed straight into the emergency department, where a team of doctors began a battery of tests to determine the source of her agony. The initial diagnosis remained centered around appendicitis or a severe ovarian cyst. But something wasn't adding up. The nature of the pain, coming in rhythmic, intensifying waves, prompted one senior ER doctor to order an immediate ultrasound of her abdomen. It was a standard diagnostic procedure, but it was the one that would change everything. A technician wheeled in the machine. Drolin was asked to wait just outside the curtain, pacing nervously. The producer and cameraman were kept in the waiting room, completely cut off from the situation. Now imagine this scene. A young woman, famous since she was a child, is lying on a gurney in agony. The doctors think it's one of a dozen common ailments. The ultrasound technician applies the cold gel to her stomach, and the transducer begins to glide across her skin. And then, silence. According to a hospital insider who spoke to a tabloid reporter on the condition of anonymity, the technician's eyes went wide. They apparently turned to the doctor, their face pale, and simply said, "Doctor, you need to see this." On the screen was not a ruptured appendix. It was a baby, a fully developed, late-term baby. And not just one. There were two. 2 heartbeats. 2 babies. Alana Thompson was pregnant with twins and appeared to be in active labor. The ER doctor was, according to the source, visibly stunned. He immediately called for an OB/GYN specialist. The news spread through the ER staff in hushed, urgent whispers. "The girl from TV, she's having twins." The doctor had to deliver the news to Alana, who was weak and disoriented from the pain. Her reaction was reportedly one of pure, unadulterated shock and disbelief. This is a key part of the story that supports the theory she may not have known. She allegedly kept repeating, "No, that's not possible. That can't be right." Now, many of you watching are probably thinking, how can you not know you're pregnant? Especially with twins. And that is a valid question. But there is a recognized medical phenomenon known as a cryptic pregnancy. It's rare, but it is real. Women with irregular menstrual cycles, which can be common, might not notice a missed period. If there's no significant morning sickness or other classic symptoms, and if weight gain is gradual or attributed to other lifestyle factors, it is medically possible for a pregnancy to go undetected. In Alana's case, her preference for baggy clothing could have easily hidden the physical changes, not just from the public, but perhaps even from herself. It's a concept that is hard to grasp, but it is a potential explanation for this baffling situation. The immediate concern for the doctors, however, wasn't the mystery. It was the danger. The ultrasound revealed that one of the twins was in a breech position, and Alana's body was under immense stress. Her blood pressure was dangerously high. The rhythmic pains were confirmed to be intense, premature contractions. The OB/GYN specialist made a swift and decisive call. A vaginal birth was too risky for both Alana and the babies. They needed to perform an emergency cesarean section. Immediately, a nurse brought Drolin into the room. The doctor explained the situation in a rush. Alana was pregnant. With twins. She was in labor. And they needed his consent for an emergency C-section to save her and the baby's lives. You have to try and comprehend the level of shock Drolin must have been feeling. In the span of an hour, he went from having a picnic with his girlfriend to being told he was about to become the father of two. His world was turned inside out. Overwhelmed but knowing Alana's life was on the line, he signed the consent forms. Alana was prepped for surgery and rushed to the operating room. A whirlwind of activity. Anesthesiologists, surgeons, neonatal nurses. An entire team assembled in minutes. At 4:52 p.m., under the bright lights of the operating room, the surgery began. Clock ticks to 4:58 p.m. At 4:58 p.m., the first baby was born. A girl. And just 2 minutes later, at 5 p.m., the second baby arrived. A boy. Both babies were premature but were breathing on their own. They were immediately taken to the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU, for observation. The very place Alana had been talking about wanting to work just hours earlier. Back in the waiting room, the producer and Drolin were approached by the surgeon. The news was delivered. Alana's surgery was successful. She was stable and in recovery. And she had given birth to a healthy baby girl and a healthy baby boy. The secret was out. The mystery had been replaced by a new, unbelievable reality. Alana Honey Boo Boo Thompson was a mother of twins. News was a bombshell for the doctors and Drolin. It was a nuclear event for the Shannon family. While Alana was in surgery, the producer on site made the call that would ignite a firestorm. The first person they called was not Alana's legal guardian and sister, Lauren Pumpkin Efford. They called the matriarch, the queen of reality TV drama. They called June Shannon. According to sources, June was at home when she received the call. The producer tried to explain the situation calmly. Alana had a medical emergency. She was at the hospital. She was okay. But June reportedly cut them off, demanding to know what happened. When the producer finally dropped the word C-section, June was confused. When they followed it up with twins, there was, according to the source, a long dead silence on the phone before an eruption of, "What? No. You're lying to me." June, never one to sit still during a crisis, immediately mobilized. She and her husband, Justin, were reportedly in the car and speeding towards Georgia within 10 minutes of hanging up the phone. She made a flurry of frantic calls to the rest of the family. Let's break down the likely reactions from the key family members, based on their well-established personalities. First, Lauren Pumpkin. As Alana's sister and former legal guardian, her reaction would have been a mixture of sisterly rage and pragmatic concern. Rage that she was kept in the dark, that Alana would hide something so huge from her. How could she not have noticed? She would have been instantly replaying every recent interaction, every phone call, searching for clues she missed. But beneath the anger would be the fierce, protective instinct she has always had for Alana. Her first questions would be practical. Are the babies okay? Is Alana okay? Do they have anything? Do they need money? Where are they? She would immediately shift into crisis management mode. Then you have the calm center of the storm, Jessica Chubbs Shannon. Jessica would be the quiet, shocked one. She'd likely be the one trying to calm everyone else down while processing her own disbelief. She would be the one to think, okay, what's done is done. How do we support her now? Her reaction would be less about the drama and more about the emotional and physical reality of what just happened to her little sister. And then there's June. For Mama June, this event is a complex cocktail of emotions. On one hand, there is genuine motherly concern for her daughter's health. On the other hand, this is a 5-alarm reality television storyline. You can be sure that as she was driving to that hospital, her mind was racing with not just worry, but also with the implications for their show, for their brand, for the headlines. She knows a good story when she sees one, and this was the mother of all stories. Her arrival at the hospital was reportedly nothing short of cinematic. She swept into the waiting room, demanding answers, a whirlwind of emotion and questions. She confronted the producer, Drolin, any hospital staff who would listen. How did this happen? Why did nobody tell me? The first meeting between June and Drolin in the hospital waiting room was reportedly incredibly tense. June has always been somewhat skeptical of Drolin, and in this moment, he was the focus of her confusion and anger. Did you know? How could you not know? He, still in a state of shock himself, could only repeat that he had no idea. The family began to arrive one by one, turning the hospital waiting room into an impromptu set for the most dramatic episode of their show ever filmed. Pumpkin, with her husband Josh. Jessica. The atmosphere was thick with tension, disbelief, and a million unanswered questions. When Alana was finally out of recovery and moved to a private room, the family was allowed to see her. Imagine that reunion. Alana, weak and recovering from major surgery, suddenly a mother of 2. Her entire family, who just that morning thought she was simply a college student, now staring at her as a mother. The central question they all had was, why didn't you tell us? Alana's explanation, according to an insider, has been consistent. She insists she didn't know. She claims she thought she was just gaining weight. She attributed her fatigue to her busy schedule with school and filming. She dismissed her irregular periods as normal for her. Whether the family believes her is the major point of contention that will undoubtedly fuel the entire upcoming season of their show. Pumpkin, the pragmatist, has reportedly put her anger aside for now, focusing on the immediate needs of Alana and the 2 new babies in the NICU. June, however, is torn between being a supportive grandmother and a suspicious mother who feels she was betrayed and left out of the biggest secret of her daughter's life. The family dynamics, already a complex web of love, resentment, and reality TV pressures, have been thrown into a blender. The birth of these twins didn't just create 2 new lives, it created a fissure within the Shannon family that will be playing out in front of the cameras for months to come. While the family was imploding within the 4 walls of the hospital, the story leaked to the press. And it didn't just leak, it erupted. The first report came from TMZ, as it so often does, with a headline that sent the internet into a complete meltdown. Within an hour, it was the #1 trending topic on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. #HoneyBooBoo was everywhere. The story had every element of a viral sensation. A beloved and controversial celebrity, a shocking medical event, a secret pregnancy, and twins. It was the perfect storm of celebrity gossip. The public reaction was split into several camps. There were the loyal fans, who expressed nothing but shock and well wishes. They congratulated Alana and Drolin and defended her against the skeptics. Then there were the skeptics, and there were many of them. This group found the "I didn't know" narrative completely unbelievable. They pointed to the fact that she was filming a reality show,